record this as a live stream instead of the usual video. I mean, usually I can record these the day before, but yesterday I completely lost my voice. As you can probably tell now, I sound so much better now than we did yesterday. But I'm going to be happy to go through and dive into these wide receiver rankings for you. Before we get into it, make sure you go down there, drop a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. And if you want to check out any of these cool player props for this weekend, you can go to the link in the description of this live stream, or you can find it in the comment section. Take it to Underdog Fantasy. When you make your first deposit with promo code FLOCK, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar to $200. So click the link, throw in promo code FLOCK, deposit $10, you automatically have 20 in your account. And also, you can have some fun getting those live streams with us and getting us some extra best ball drafts. Not meant to replace the league you're in right now, just for some extra fun on the side. But that should be it. If you have any questions, please go down there, drop a like on the live stream, and leave a comment letting me know down there. Don't leave anything in the live chat. I know that we are streaming this, so maybe a little bit confusing. Just make sure after the live stream, you go right back to the comment section and you leave it there. I'm going to try to answer as many of them as I can. But that should be it. Let's go through. Let's dive into this. Cooper Kupp won, with Kupp going up against Carolina. Not a great matchup. I mean, you would expect that the Los Angeles Rams, if they're ever going to be able to just run the ball and not have to get into a pseudo shootout, it's going to be in this matchup. Who the hell cares? Don't want to waste your time. Kupp won. At 2, Stephon Diggs. I honestly think you could maybe make an argument that based on how good this matchup is for Stephon Diggs going up against Kansas City, that maybe you could put him at 1 because, oh my gosh, this is the best game of the year, right? At least so far, I think that we can safely project this to be the best game of the season. Remember what we had during the playoffs for these two teams. Going over 2-3, we'll have Justin Jefferson. With Justin Jefferson, it is a very exciting matchup against Miami. It would have been a very exciting matchup against Miami if Skylar Thompson was not starting, but he is. So obviously, it's going to be much more difficult for any of these Miami Dolphins players to be productive. We'll get to Tyreek Hill. We'll get to Jalen Waddle a little later on. But our next tier, Jamar Chase at 4. Not a great matchup on paper against New Orleans. Obviously, you have Lattimore usually shutting down top wide receivers. I mean, outside of Mike Evans, other receivers going up against New Orleans have been fine this season. Look at what you had from Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf a little earlier on this year. Now going over to Deebo Samuel at 5. Great matchup going up against the Atlanta Falcons. What's interesting is instead of using Deebo as that pass catcher like they did a year ago, even with the injuries to both Tyrion Davis-Price and Elijah Mitchell, you actually have Tevin Coleman getting involved. I don't know. We'll save that when we talk about Jeff Wilson. Evans going up against Pittsburgh. Obviously, Gabriel Davis, who we'll talk about later on, just destroyed this Pittsburgh Steelers secondary. I still think they're in good defense overall. Right now, Las Vegas has Tampa heavily favored in this game. Hollywood Brown's going to be at 7. Hollywood going up against the Seattle Seahawks. We have ranked him as a must-start guy every single week. Every single week, we have him as a must-start player. The reason for this, no DeAndre Hopkins. We know Arizona's going to push the pace of play. Cliff Kingsbury, regardless of if you think he's a good head coach or not, he plays it as if it's Madden. There are going to be a ridiculous amount of plays run per game. Really love this matchup against Seattle, where we have seen time and time again. I mean, teams, the Detroit Lions 2 weeks ago, put up 45 points, and the New Orleans Saints this past week, allowing someone like Taysom Hill to score 4 touchdowns. Now, Tyreek Hill is in this tier. Full transparency, we recorded this. I was supposed to record this video before I lost my voice. We made this tier list yesterday when it looked like Teddy Bridgewater was going to be able to make it back. Now that Skylar Thompson is back going up against Minnesota, you cannot put Tyreek Hill in this tier. Tyreek Hill has to drop down. So I know we're going to have a lot of people that just skip to the end of this video, look at the rankings, and go, oh my God, this guy has no idea what he's doing. If you're watching the video, you should know Tyreek Hill is going to be lower than this. Godwin will be at 9. With Godwin down week this past week because Leonard Fournette led this offense in receiving. I think that this should go back over in the direction of Mike Evans. Chris Godwin now another week healthier. I'm confident with the passing volume that we're going to see in Tampa. Let's go ahead. Let's go in this direction. Now, Mike Williams at 10. With Williams, do not like this matchup going up against Denver. I think that this is an offense that should have a difficult time, at least in the passing game, knowing that A, Denver has a very good defense, and B, with the Denver Broncos as well, Russell Wilson looks like garbage. I don't think Los Angeles has to push the pace of play. I think they maybe can just run the ball in the second half with how bad Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos will be. Jalen Waddle at 11. This was not with Skylar Thompson as the starting quarterback. Now that Thompson does look like he's going to be starting for Miami, you have to drop Jalen Waddle down a tier as well. I still think that Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are guys that you're going to need to start. However, I think that Tyreek is going to be a low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2. And now Jalen Waddle is going to be a mid to low-end wide receiver 2. So I apologize that the list here is a little off. We have A.J. Brown at 12. More excited about A.J. Brown than this for the rest of season. The issue is this Dallas Cowboys defense has shut down opponent after opponent after opponent. I mean, Dallas has not allowed a single team to score more than 20 points this year. They've not allowed a single team to score more than 20 points. I don't know. And same thing with CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, I would be more excited about him rest of season, but specifically with this matchup going up against Philadelphia, Philly has a very good defense. Like I said, of course, drop Tyreek, drop Jalen Waddle down. Sorry, y'all can hear by my voice. Give me a second. Now, with CeeDee Lamb, with A.J. Brown, even with it being tough matchups, given the fact that these are stud level receivers and what have been very good offenses so far this season, there's still going to be must-start guys even with the tough matchup. Now, T. Higgins at 14, I am making a statement with this ranking. I know a lot of people are going to be worried about starting T. Higgins. What just happened on Sunday night, I get it. I would be worried as well. However, if T. Higgins is healthy, if T. Higgins is good to go, on average, he has averaged 90 receiving yards per game so far this season. He is a must-start guy. The New Orleans Saints just let DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett have monstrous performances a week ago. I know that maybe you want to make the argument, given the nagging injury, T. Higgins should be lower than this. This is a statement ranking. I want to make sure that anybody that's following this channel that has T. Higgins on their roster puts T. Higgins into their starting lineup this week. Chris Olave at 15. I mean, Olave here is a wide receiver that I really want to root for. Going back to what we looked at with Jalen Waddle in the buy low stream this morning, I mean, Chris Olave has now vaulted himself up so far his rookie season to be in a class of elite level rookie receivers. Now, the issue is with Chris Olave, and of course, this is if he does play, suffered a concussion. Obviously, we'll give this update later on the weekend on the injuries for guys like T. Higgins and Olave. With Olave, I do want to lower expectations where, if y'all remember, a week ago, last Sunday morning, we were saying that he was a must-start guy, that he was a top 10 option because you had no Michael Thomas, you had no Jarvis Landry. So it looked like Olave was in a spot to completely smash. This week, even if he does play, we're going to be a little bit more pessimistic, though, because you will get guys like Michael Thomas back into this offense. So now we're going to have Gabriel Davis at 16. With Gabe Davis, dear God, the man dominated off of 6 targets a week ago. Last time he played the Kansas City Chiefs, over 200 receiving yards. Last time he played against the Chiefs, over 200 receiving yards. Obviously, we're not expecting that to happen again, or Gabriel Davis would be at 1 overall. But I want as many players in this Chiefs and Bills game as possible, knowing that this should be one of the highest scoring games of the year, or hopefully will be. Now, our next tier is going to be led off with Christian Kirk at 17. Kirk was on our buy low wide receiver stream this morning, and our thought process here is, outside of this past week, Christian Kirk has averaged 9 targets a game so far this season. Over the past 2 weeks, Jacksonville has looked significantly worse, but keep in mind, that's been in the context of 7 turnovers for Trevor Lawrence, 4 fumbles, 3 interceptions. I think once these turnovers come down, which they have to, they 100% will, you'll have this Jacksonville Jaguars offense going back to sustaining drives, and at the same time, Kirk consistently getting that target volume. And thank you so much for everybody coming out to this live stream. If you have not done so yet, go down there, drop a like in the stream. We just hit 100 likes in the stream. Thank y'all so much, guys. Now, our next guy is going to be DK Metcalf at 18. With Metcalf and this entire Seattle Seahawks offense, Geno Smith has been absurd Geno Smith has been phenomenal. Geno Smith has been way better than I was expecting. But at the same time, I am going to be expecting Geno Smith to come back down to earth. Just like how people really wanted to get mad at us a week ago for saying, yeah, Jared Goff's been great. I mean, a week ago, at that point, only Justin Herbert and Josh Allen had more passing yards than Jared Goff. But we still said, okay, if we take a step back, if we remember that Jared Goff is Jared Goff, there's no way this keeps going until the rest of the season. I think it is a very similar thing with Geno Smith. I mean, you want to root for the guy. It's an incredible story where he comes out and he gives a better season than what Russell Wilson did a year ago, and nobody respected him when there were clowns like myself on the internet saying he was one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL. You want to root for the guy, but I still think this offense does take a considerable step back, despite putting up 1 million points over the past 2 weeks against the New Orleans Saints, as well as the Detroit Lions. Should be a good matchup on paper against Arizona. We're going to have Tyler Lockett here at 19 as well. Lockett has been more productive than Metcalf so far this season. That's why if you're looking at a sell high video, I'm not going to tell you to sell Tyler Lockett high because I know you're not going to get that much for Tyler Lockett. Whereas with DK Metcalf has the name brand appeal. So if the production is very similar to these two wide receivers and you were looking to sell one, assuming that the Seattle Seahawks offense would take a step back, the guy you would actually want to be looking to sell would be DK Metcalf, not Tyler Lockett, because the perception of Metcalf is so different than the gap between these two players in reality. Now, someone that was a wide receiver we were looking to avoid coming into this season, a wide receiver that we had a sell high option on last week, is going to be at 20. We will go Courtland Sutton. Y'all know I'm not a big Sutton guy for a multitude of reasons. I think some people are coming around with us on this one, seeing that when Jerry Jeudy is healthy, the gap between these two wide receivers, about that big, and it's a piss poor offense in Denver. So I think you can be a lot less excited about Sutton. Another guy that people hated on me for, y'all hated me coming into this season because we are so low on Michael Pittman, where everybody had him locked in to be a top 10 wide receiver, where we said Matt Ryan's not nearly as good as you think. Pump the brakes on this. Alec Pierce was the wide receiver one this past Thursday night over Pittman. Even if I'm a Pittman hater, even if I didn't think he was a top 10 wide receiver coming into this season, hell, I'm still willing to sit here and go, okay, well, Michael Pittman, he's the bona fide alpha wide receiver one in this offense. It's not going to be Alec Pierce, even though kind of want to tell you, I told you so on Michael Pittman. And can I take 1 second to flex on everyone here? Because speaking of these two guys, we got so much hate on this season. Y'all know we drafted over 700 teams on Underdog. I know everybody knows what Best Ball Mania is on Underdog. We drafted 150 teams in Best Ball Mania in 12-team leagues. And 50, exactly 50 of those teams right now are in the top 2 in their 12-team leagues, crushing it. Out of the 450,000 teams drafted in Best Ball Mania, we have 2 teams inside the top 200. So for all the haters, literally find one other person on this planet that has better results in Best Ball Mania in a contest that had over 450 teams drafted than we do so far. But we're going to go Terry McLaurin at 22. With McLaurin, y'all know we were saying sell high earlier this year with him and Curtis Samuel, just with the assumption, Washington is going to get significantly worse going forward. Very similar to what we said with Jared Goff. What we're saying now with Geno Smith. At the end of the day, Carson Wentz is Carson Wentz. Don't overly buy into the hype that we had through the first few weeks. But now I am more excited about Terry McLaurin, more excited about Curtis Samuel, because you're looking at an offense that lost both John Dotson and Logan Thomas, at least for the short term. Of course, we're expecting these players to come back in a few weeks, but if you have no John Dotson and no Logan Thomas, all of a sudden the targets are going to be jacked up for these players in Washington, even if we still expect this to be a very bad offense overall. Now we're going to go Amari Cooper, 24, with Amari Cooper going up against the New England Patriots. I want to root for Jacoby Brissett. I do. Obviously, you want to root for Brissett, another quarterback just like Geno Smith that people counted out. And I want to say, Brissett, very similar to Geno, very similar to Jared Goff. They've been a lot better than people like myself expected them to be coming into this season. I think this speaks on the elite offensive line that you have in Cleveland. Also, it's going to be very difficult to run against the New England Patriots defense. So maybe make the argument that Cleveland has to throw the ball a little bit more. But hell, at the end of the day, this New England offense this New England defense just shut out the Detroit Lions, who this past week were the #1 offense going into that matchup across the entire NFL. Don't love the matchup. At 25, we're going to be going up with Deontay Johnson. With Deontay, oh my gosh, George Pickens outproduced them again this past week, playing fewer snaps, drawing fewer targets. I still think Deontay's the wide receiver 1 here, but the gap between these two guys is definitely getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So it is what it is. I think Deontay Johnson has to continue to fall down our rankings. Hopefully Kenny Pickett gets better sometime soon. Now our next guy is going to be Michael Thomas going up against Cincinnati. With Michael Thomas, should be good to go. Already cleared. Good this week. I mean, last weekend, they were saying he was going to be good to go week 6. Cincinnati defense has been quietly very good. However, I think that looking out on what we are going to have with Jarvis Landry will make a major impact on the rankings of both Chris Olave and Michael Thomas. Next guy, Devonta Smith. With Smith, love what you have, but the matchup. The matchup is disgusting. Going back to what we were discussing, this will be also another great game where with Devonta Smith going up against the Dallas Cowboys, Dallas has not allowed a single team to score 20 points. A single team to score 20 points. But real quick, if you have not done so yet, go down there, drop a like on the live stream. We are 1 like away from hitting 200 likes in the stream. Thank y'all so much. And Drake London at 28 here, with Drake London going up against the 49ers. Another bad matchup. Mariota, piss poor performances back-to-back weeks here. I'm assuming that we get Desmond Ridder coming in sometime soon. This is a legit defense. We don't know what to expect with Kyle Pitts. Still love Drake London as a talent. However, the issue is going to be with Drake London here, as we discussed, the horrendous offense, as well as the really tough matchup. Now going over, we have Allen Lazard, 29, going up against the Jets. I mean, with this Green Bay Packers offense, clearly not as good as they've been in years past. On top of this, you have a little bit going to Lazard, a little bit going to Romeo Doubs, a little bit going to Randall Cobb, a little bit going to Christian Watson, a little bit going to Robert Tonyan, a lot going to the running backs. Like, I think from a best ball perspective, you could really like what you would have with some of these Green Bay Packers wide receivers, because there's a lot of touchdown upside if you're playing with Rodgers. It's going to be so hard to predict which wide receiver is the guy you want that week. And then going over, Garrett Wilson at 30 in that same game. I know people are worried about Garrett Wilson because the New York Jets had 30. Sorry, not 30. Garrett Wilson ranked wide receiver 30. The New York Jets had 4 rushing touchdowns this past week. They looked very, very good. I think you can be excited about the Jets offense. I think it goes back to being a little bit more pass-centric this next week. But thank you again. I truly do appreciate all of you. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this video. AKA live stream. Subscribe to the channel. We're about to hit 300 likes. Of course, I'll be live later tonight as well. Hopefully my voice can hold up and we can get a Q&A live stream going. If you want to check out any of these props on Underdog Fantasy, link in the comment section, promo code FLOCK. 100% a positive match and available in pretty much every state. Now, I'm going to stick around for the next 15 minutes answering comments on this video. Nothing in the live chat, but I'm going to go down there, refresh the comment section. So after I end this live stream, make sure you come back to the video. Leave any questions you have down there in the comments. Thank you again. I truly do appreciate you. Hope we get to see you in the live stream tonight, and I hope you have a great day.